Bashar al-Assad, hero to some, enemy of the world by Wise News 14. In the complex and ever-shifting landscape of international geopolitics, few figures have been as polarizing as Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. To millions in Syria, he is a steadfast hero, a leader who triumphed over insurrection and foreign intervention. To the international community, however, he is a war criminal whose brutal tactics have led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands. The narrative surrounding Assad is a contentious one, but beneath the headlines of war crimes and accusations of brutality lies a story of survival, defiance, and leadership in the face of overwhelming odds. The heroic narrative, a defender of sovereignty. For supporters within Syria, Bashar al-Assad is seen as a bulwark against both external and internal threats. As the country descended into civil war in 2011, Assad's government found itself besieged by an uprising that eventually spiraled into a bloody conflict with multiple international actors involved. In the eyes of many Syrians, Assad's unwavering resolve to maintain control over the country's sovereignty has earned him the status of a hero. He is regarded not just as a president, but as a symbol of Syrian resilience. Since the outset of the war, Assad has managed to retain control of key areas, including the capital, Damascus, and has slowly but surely regained territory that was once lost to rebel forces. In doing so, he has maintained a semblance of order amidst the chaos. This victory is viewed by his supporters as a triumph over foreign-backed insurgents, whom they argue were attempting to destabilize the country and impose foreign ideologies. For many Syrians, the war was never just a civil conflict. It was a battle to protect Syria's identity, its secular government, and its sovereignty against foreign intervention. The assistance of Russia and Iran in the Syrian conflict has also been a pivotal factor in Assad's survival. Their military and financial support have enabled him to fend off rebels and external actors like the United States, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. In return, Assad has remained a loyal ally to both nations, strengthening ties with Russia, particularly through military agreements and the establishment of Russian military bases in Syria. In this sense, Assad is not just a national hero. To some, he is the leader who succeeded in defending his country against a world intent on dismantling it. The global criticism, accusations of war crimes. However, for the rest of the world, Assad is an enemy. His regime has been accused of committing some of the most heinous war crimes in modern history. The use of chemical weapons against civilians, indiscriminate airstrikes on civilian infrastructure, and the targeting of hospitals have all been documented by international organizations like the United Nations and Human Rights Watch. These allegations have turned Assad into a figure of international disdain, with many labeling him a war criminal. The most notable of these accusations was the 2013 chemical attack in Ghouta, which killed hundreds of civilians, including women and children. Despite mounting evidence that the Assad regime was responsible, Assad denied the charges, claiming that the attack was a false flag operation carried out by rebel forces. In 2017, another chemical attack in Khan Sheikhoun resulted in more deaths and prompted a retaliatory missile strike from the United States. Yet despite widespread condemnation, Assad's government has consistently denied the use of chemical weapons, while casting blame on various rebel groups or foreign powers. Internationally, these actions have led to calls for justice and accountability. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has launched investigations into Assad's regime, but political divisions in the Security Council have prevented any decisive action. Russia, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, has repeatedly vetoed resolutions condemning Assad, further complicating efforts to hold him accountable. This geopolitical deadlock has allowed Assad to continue his rule with impunity, while the global community struggles to address the human rights violations taking place on the ground. The civilian impact, a nation torn apart. The human cost of Assad's victory cannot be overstated. While he may have maintained control of the country, the toll on Syria's population has been catastrophic. The United Nations estimates that over 500,000 Syrians have died since the start of the conflict, with millions more displaced both internally and abroad. Entire cities, including Aleppo, Homs, and Idlib, have been reduced to rubble. The infrastructure of the country is in shambles, and the Syrian people continue to bear the brunt of this war. While Assad's government has repeatedly framed its military operations as efforts to liberate Syria from terrorism, the extent of civilian casualties raises significant questions.